Mic'd up.
Hello and welcome to the Jack and Jack podcast, episode 7. I hope you guys have seen all the social content we've been pumping out. We're on Instagram, we're on TikTok, we're on YouTube, we're all over the place. Wherever you want to find us, we're there. Jack and Jack Pod. So make sure to tune in and follow those little threads that we've got going on all of those channels. You can watch little clips from this show. We appreciate everybody that watches the whole show, whether that be on YouTube, Spotify, or right here on Mic'd Up. Jack, what a beautiful day. It is a fantastic day to talk about some sports. What do you say?
It absolutely is. No, it's great. And you hit it on the head there. We're leveling up a little bit here, starting to get some clips out. You can see us on different platforms. That's the short form media right there. Grab people's attention. The longer we obviously do appreciate all the people that tune into our 40-minute to an hour episodes, but also appreciate the people that just tune into our 30 to 45-second clips. So it's all great. It's beautiful out today. Went and played 9 holes. It's a great day to watch some sports, talk about some sports, and be on the podcast to you, Jack. So let's get into it.
Well, not only did you go out and hit today, but you hit them well. One of the best rounds you've ever played. Let them know, Jack.
Yeah, good. I'm not the greatest golfer in the world. Not usually my sport, but me and my boys got out there today, and we're prepping for our friend Braylon his Memorial Golf Tournament on June 5th. So we have some pretty good players on our team coming in, and me and my friend James knew like, all right, we got to be ready to go here because these are some pretty good golfers. So we're putting in the work today. 2 over through 9 holes, my buddy Will. So I'm excited. I'm excited. It's a great sport. It also is the most frustrating sport in the world, though. Golf, when I was looking at a lot of different comments on the thread we posted yesterday about the NBA being the hardest league to play in, some people were saying PGA Tour. That one's up there for sure. That sport is, I mean, I don't understand how people do it, man. That golf's incredibly hard. So
Oh,
it's a fun one, but being out on the links is always nice.
so much time. So much time that goes into these golfers. You have to play all the time. But man, some of these guys love it. Some of these guys love it. So
They
you
do.
got to respect it. Well, let's kind of transition a little bit here. Let's talk about what's going on right now. Liverpool down to Aston Villa, likely going to lose, which would put Aston Villa in 4th in the league and Liverpool in 5th. And the Reds in danger of falling out of the Champions League spots. The top 5 in the Premier League likely to get Champions League. If Villa wins the Europa League, it would be the top 6. But Liverpool is in danger of falling to that 6th spot. They now are on 59 points with Bournemouth on 55 with the game in hand, hot on their tails. Well, what have you made of Liverpool season this year, Jack?
Pretty disappointing, to be honest. For Salah's last real go around, has not been what people were expecting, especially if they've been so dominant throughout the past couple years. Some failures early in the Champions League, but I mean the roster that they have there is pretty loaded. I'd be very shocked. I mean, obviously the new change in the Premier League, where now it's 5 teams instead of 4 getting that Champions League. I'd be pretty shocked if they were able to fall out of that. I think it's a very interesting thing that they're not winning more than they are. I mean, you look at Liverpool. I mean, obviously the big 6 teams, but especially Liverpool with all the players that they have. I mean, Virgil and Salah, and I mean they got Isak now too, right? So I mean, there's a lot of guys that they have there. They should be winning more than they are for sure. Well, what are you making of it?
Yeah, you look at some of the injuries they've had, and it's been rough. Florian Wirtz has really struggled this year as well as a new signing. So you didn't get the best out of Isak, then he got hurt, and then you had Ekatike, and then he got hurt. And you're trying to figure out where the squad is its best, and Slot has not been able to do that. And I think some of the criticisms of Slot inherited Klopp's squad and won a league with Klopp's squad, and then now that Slot has to build his own squad and manage the team, he struggled a little bit. And so I really worry about Liverpool going forward. If they hold on to Slot, I think they will unless they fall out of the Champions League. So, my boy or our boy Kayor, he is going through it right now. He was telling me he's actually rooting for Aston Villa right now. He's a huge Liverpool fan, and he's rooting for Villa because he says, I would rather be in the Europa League without Slot than the Champions League with Slot. That's where these Liverpool fans are at. They are so frustrated with the situation, and they really want to see change, not only in the manager spot, but also the ownership and some of the administration stuff. They've raised ticket prices as well. And so Liverpool fans are just an unhappy bunch right now, losing today to Villa, likely to drop to that at least the 5th slot. Maybe even that 6th slot if Andoni Iraola and Bournemouth can continue to win. Now, I don't know that Bournemouth would want to qualify for Champions League because Iraola leaving Bournemouth at the end of the season, that's already been announced. I can't imagine that they're going to want to be in the Champions League with some other manager. Now, I mean, they want the money, don't get me wrong, but they're not going to succeed if they get there. So they'll take it, but I don't think that they're going to like bolster the squad to this immense level where, oh, look at us, we're winning Champions League. That's not going to be what Bournemouth does if they make it there. But you have to say it's been mightily impressive what Iraola has done there, and he will do a great job when he likely takes over Athletic Bilbao in the Basque region next season. Now, I actually think he should get the Real Madrid job, Jack. That's an open job that's going to go to Jose Mourinho, but which is awesome. I mean, isn't it awesome that Jose's back?
I had not really been familiar with a lot of managers in my time. He's the man, dude. I love that guy. He's electric. I mean, there's a lot of people that can kind of bring people in when they're not too big into a sport. There's kind of people that are bigger than a certain situation in a way, and I feel like he's one of those guys. He's taken which club was he took a very small team? Was it Roma or whatever team he took to win the Champions League? A very small club. I'm probably
Porto.
wrong. Porto took Porto to win the Champions League. The guy's a legend. I was actually reading about it a little bit. And people seemed pretty disgusted. We're not too happy about it. But I mean, it'll be. I think. I mean, I don't know a ton about the little ins and outs of if it would really be a great hire for Real Madrid. If it would be a bad hire. I think it would be great. I like big personalities. I like guys that have a history of winning, and nobody has a bigger history of winning than Real Madrid. So I think overall it will make sense for them, and I think it'll be a fun spot. I mean, I was actually talking about it with my friends today. I was like, all right, like Real Madrid's like one of the clubs that you can claim like you live there. Like those are your boys in a way. It's like all right, like I want to see them win. Obviously, like the whole thing with they're kind of sketchy with all the money and all the different thing ruining the sport a little bit. But overall we were there, and Madrid's a cool club, and so it's fun when they're at the top. It's fun.
For those of you guys that don't know that are listening to this podcast, me and Jag actually met on a study abroad in Madrid at the Escuela Universitaria Real Madrid, where we were learning under Real Madrid executives and operatives, and they were kind of teaching us about the business of sports, specifically in Europe. So that's how we met. We started talking about the podcast over there, and it's flourished from there. And we've really enjoyed doing this. But yeah, that'll probably be a TikTok clip as well, there, Jack.
Yeah,
Let people know how this got started. So
gotcha.
that's kind of the origin story for the Jack and Jack podcast. But just so you guys know, and then yeah, I mean, Jose back to Real Madrid is just going to be awesome, and he might not do very well, but we're gonna get so many clips. Oh, the
Yeah,
clips are gonna be glorious. Oh my gosh, three time.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
they got to respect him a little bit. Respect,
yeah. I
respect.
love that one right
Um,
there. Yeah,
but
yeah.
I'm super interested to see how that goes. Barcelona's kind of been dominant in La Liga over the last couple of years. So can Real Madrid kind of bounce back? And what do they do with Mbappe? He got booed going onto the pitch the other day. I'm not sure if you saw that.
It's
Uh,
crazy.
they whistled that man onto the pitch, and they're just not fans of Mbappe right now, and he's really not a fan of them. So how do they remedy all the mess that they've got going on? Florentino Perez, he's sticking around. They kind of want to get rid of him. Some people want him to stay. There's such a push and pull within the Real Madrid fan base, and Juan Carlos is right in the middle of it. And it's a heck of a time to be a Real Madrid fan. So we'll see how that all boils down next year under Jose. If Jose can win, that would probably rein in all the turmoil. Let's be honest. That's the main issue. If you're not winning, people are upset. And so when Jose takes over, I think that he can really, really calm things down if he's able to win at the levels that he was once able to do. Now, he's not been that manager recently. I mean, it's been a while. He's an older guy. He's kind of lost touch a little bit, maybe. And so I'm curious to see whether he can do it, but certainly excited to see him back.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see. I mean, Hansi Flick's kind of been on top of the football world here, where he's won back to back with Barca, was good in the Bundesliga too, and I mean, he's really been on a roll. And I mean, they were 5 points down to Real Madrid when they lost the El Clasico in October, and have completely flipped the script and now are way up and have won. They actually dropped the game yesterday, which is pretty surprising, but they're not really going full strength anymore now that they've already locked up the league. It will be very interesting to see. I mean, it's not really that often where you see Barcelona. I mean, obviously the teams in the early 2010s with Messi, Neymar, and Suarez. They're kind of running around doing everything, being one of the best teams ever. But in the recent years, I mean, Barca now is really kind of taken over from Real Madrid. And these last few seasons, they've definitely been the premier club in Spain. I mean, with the rise of Lamine Yamal and Rafinha and Lewandowski, that front three, and then Danny Olmo and a lot of other guys in that team, Ferran Torres. They got some guys in that team, very good. Rafinha was talking about Hansi Flick. He lost his father right before the El Clasico, and they won. They ended up winning the game 2-0. And he was talking about how been like a father to him, and he was the one that really instilled the confidence back in him, and he's been one of the best players in the world these last few seasons under him. So just credits to him and kudos to him for sure for what he's been able to do for Barcelona. Unfortunate that they've not been able to capture that same success in the Champions League, but I do believe in all those young guys, and I mean Lewandowski's going to be gone, so it's going to be interesting to see who they bring into that striker position. But I mean, could you imagine? I mean, I don't know the odds this would happen, but could you imagine if Mbappe leaves Real Madrid and goes to Barcelona, goes to the rival right there, and then ends up playing them twice a year? That'd be incredible. I don't think there's really a world where that it could really end up happening, but I mean, that would just be absolute scenes. That would be scenes.
It's happened before, Jack. I mean,
Yes, yes,
there's
it
a
has.
few players, and the main one that everybody thinks of is Luis Figo.
Yes,
When Figo jumped ship, obviously that was an agent situation that kind of brought him over to Real Madrid. But what a coup for them at the time. Georgia Hadji has also done that. There's been several guys who have played for both, so it wouldn't be unheard of. Now he would become the most hated man in Madrid like that, but it would certainly be something. I think that Mbappe's next move, if he were to leave Real Madrid, would likely be to the Premier League. You would think. It's seems like that is an appropriate place for him to go, unless he's going to go back to PSG, which that would be really surprising considering the way that he left. Maybe he goes to Italy. I don't know that anybody in Italy can afford him right now. So the only place that you could really see him going is the Saudi League, the MLS, or the Premier League, and he's not going to go to the Saudi League or the MLS. So likely either Barcelona or the Premier League, or I suppose Bayern Munich could maybe pick him up, but that would be post Kane, I would imagine. So I don't see that happening. It's certainly a possibility though. But yeah, a lot of happenings in the world of soccer. We've got Arsenal looking like they're going to lock up the league here against City. You've got the relegation race in the Premier League. You got the top five race as well, and then the Champions League final coming up here shortly. It's been a heck of a couple of weeks. Did you see Messi scored a hat trick the other day?
I did. Dude, the MLS sometimes is just such a joke to me. I mean, you see that first goal where the keeper literally kicked it straight to his foot. I mean, unbelievable. There were 8 goals scored in that game. I love Messi, don't get me wrong. I think it's absolutely fantastic that he's still flourishing over there. The comparisons between him and Ronaldo with the Saudi League and the MLS are just so ridiculous. Like, I think it's like, well, let's talk about the top leagues in the world more than obviously people all over social media are talking about those two. But yes, Messi is dominating there. But I mean, some of these games just, I mean, they're not as obviously they're not as high level as the European games. But it really, honestly, I mean, I think Messi's far and away the goat at this point in time. What he's able to do, this continued success. I mean, he's another level out there. These guys look like they should do not even belong on the same pitch as he does. His greatness is unmatched, and it's undeterred still. Where the way he's able to dominate these games and take over in the passing, the scoring, really everywhere. So it's honestly pretty crazy. It's crazy to watch. Sometimes people just got to accept greatness, like LeBron, Messi, Ronaldo, everybody. People just have to enjoy it while it's around, because soon all three of them are not going to be part of the sport anymore, part of their respective sports. And then it's just going to be highlights that we're watching and little clips and of tapes that we're seeing of them being great. But being able to watch it live and in color is a pretty cool thing for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is unreal to see him. And my dad actually was at the game with my brother up there in Cincinnati. And he was just saying how cool it was, how far the MLS culture has come. You talk about the MLS against the Saudi League, right? The Saudi League has nobody at those games. I don't know if you've ever watched these Saudi League clips. They are empty, even when Ronaldo's playing. Empty. Nobody goes because that's not part of anything that they do. Sports are a huge part of our culture here, and soccer, of course, is a lower level of that. But the FC Cincinnati fans are rowdy. They come in numbers, they come with flares, they march through the streets. I mean, it was really a cool scene up there in Cincinnati, and that is just one of the places where this sport has flourished in our country. Unfortunately, we keep trying to jam it into New York and into Atlanta and into Dallas, and you're like, please just go to the places that like it. Kansas City, St. Louis, Cincinnati, San Diego. There's places in the United States that love the sport. Let's go there. Let's go there. That's where we should be trying to grow the sport in this country. And so it's always frustrating to me when I see where the places are that get World Cup games. You're like, Boston? Really? Boston? I mean, what are we doing? Right? No Cincinnati. You get barely any Midwest representation. Of course, you got Kansas City, which is awesome. I am so glad Kansas City has it because they needed it. Now, you have an NFL stadium in Cincinnati. Why are there no games in Cincinnati? It's a great city. I mean, that is where I would have had at least a couple of World Cup games. When you look at some of these choices that they made on where to put the World Cup games, it's just so frustrating because they put them in places where the game isn't that like loved. And then you're like, oh, why aren't that many people going to the game there? Because they don't care. Those aren't the places where people care. Go to the places where people care. And then you will get the output. You'll see people show up to the games. And I think that would have been a better system. Now, I also think that this World Cup's going to be a little better than what they're advertising it as, Jack. I don't know if you feel the same way, but we're sitting here and we're talking about a World Cup. This is the national media, and this is a lot of these people online. They're talking about this World Cup like we've got some humanitarian crisis that's worse than Qatar and Russia, that nobody likes the sport, that there's no culture. They went to Qatar and Russia and they didn't complain that. Why are we complaining about the US as compared to Qatar and Russia? Those places are way worse. And so is South Africa when they had it there. All of them. And Brazil. They killed people building those stadiums in Brazil. The humanitarian crisis is at the last four World Cups since 2006 in Germany. The last four World Cups have been terrible. But the ones here are nowhere near that. Not in terms of the political situation, just the soccer situation, the building of the stadiums, the organization of the system. It is not at all like we're having these World Cups in Qatar and in Russia. We're having them in these great United States. And it drives me nuts to see people complaining about this country as much as they are. It is not Qatar. It is not Russia. It is not South Africa. It is not Brazil. This is the US. It's a developed country that knows how to host sporting events. Can we please calm down?
I absolutely agree with you there. I mean, it is absolutely ridiculous. These are built stadiums. These are built cities. The infrastructure's already there for it. A big part of the World Cup failing, like you were saying, is the infrastructure wasn't there, and they have all these stadiums that aren't used anymore. The U.S. has all of that, and I mean, we saw it when we were gone. Everybody outside of the U.S. has something bad to say about it. Whether it's Trump, whether it's the people of America being loud and obnoxious and annoying, whether it's just all they do is eat and they don't want to participate in anybody else's culture, and it's just like they want to bring their culture onto everybody. No, it's just how it is. And that's why people just got you got to tune out online sometimes. It's just how the world's become, and it really is a shame because no, you're very right there. I think this one, especially now that I mean all these locations, you're right. I mean Boston, some of them don't make a ton of sense. It's all for money at the end of the day. I mean, they're really just trying to monetize it and go where there's a lot of money. I mean, there's a lot of money up there in the New England area, and so they'll be able to throw the ticket prices out of the wazoo. I mean, I was looking at ticket prices in Philadelphia, absolutely nuts. It's crazy. I mean, they're buying out most of their fans with this. And that's the thing you were talking about passion. Is you love the passionate fans there. But a problem that we might see in some of these big games is that the passionate fans might not have enough money to really be able to afford to go to these big games. Because like, let's say let's just theoretically let's put out there it's Argentina versus Brazil in let's say the Link in Philadelphia. I would say the average ticket price there is going to be $1,500 to $2,000 just to get in the stadium, which is unbelievable. I mean, that's Super Bowl right there. That's a Super Bowl. And Super Bowl's notoriously known for being too expensive, buying out too many of their fans, and where fans can't even go to the game. So that I think will be a problem, will be the main problem. None of this humanitarian crisis and all that kind of stuff that we're not going to see that in the United States. There's not going to be people dying building the stadiums because the stadium's already there. And the event operatives and the people who run the operations crews in America are very experienced. They've done it before and they'll do it again very well. So I'm not worried about that part at all.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And the prices are absurd. As you've seen, Jack, I'm sure those prices are coming down because FIFA priced these too highly, and now people are buying and reselling because we're Americans and that's what we do, and it's stupid. We gotta get a better culture. But in terms of the way that we buy and resell tickets, that's what we do. So that's just gonna happen. But now everyone's buying them, and then nobody's buying the resold tickets because who wants to go watch Cape Verde and Panama for $250 to sit in the raft. Nobody wants to do that. So they're all going to come down. It's going to be down to like 40, $30 tickets for those terrible games. But those expensive games are still going to be expensive. And that is a huge issue that we're going to have to see whether it impacts crowd size, whether it impacts hype, whether it impacts the ability of fans to come over here to come visit the sites and to come see our country, which is what makes the World Cup so great. So I hope those tickets continue to come down and people continue to refuse to pay those exorbitant prices. Of course, the final's going to be expensive. The final's going to be expensive, period, wherever you are. That's just part of it, unfortunately. Obviously, it was going to be cheaper in Qatar because who's going to Qatar? And right, who's going to Luzhniki Stadium in Russia? Nobody. I mean, people aren't going to do that because of the travel risks associated with it. The United States does not have those kind of risks, and obviously, there's going to be some people that don't come because of guns or whatever. Those people don't live here, and they think that's a bigger issue than it is. But um, for the most part, the World Cup is just going to be an expensive event, and I hope certainly, and I think all Americans hope that it does not detract the average fan from all these countries from coming in and bringing all that's awesome about the World Cup.
I absolutely agree. That really hopefully is not a factor. I mean, you could sit really good mid-level seats for a game six, and either of our game sixes tonight in the NBA, and we'll get to that in a second. But that really, I think, is a problem. You hit it on the head there. I mean, you look at some of these clips. I mean, there's one of David Luiz who had a crazy banger free kick in the 2014 World Cup in Brazil, and he runs up to the crowd. It's one of the most electric videos I've ever seen in my life. The crowd's just going absolutely bonkers, and really everywhere. The teams that have great representation for their countries at the games, it creates just utter cinema. I mean, it's unbelievable to watch, and it really does help the atmosphere of the game more than just the 11 players on the pitch and the manager. The fans really do help, especially in the World Cup when it's in America, when people are showing out. And so I agree with you. I really hope that people do not get too priced out. And I think the resale culture will help that. I mean, we saw it's illegal in Spain. It's very highly frowned upon in a lot of areas and illegal. And so, I mean, we do it more than anybody, more efficiently than anybody. I mean, there's a million resale apps, Game Day, Ticketmaster, you name it, and it's there. So I agree with you. I really hope they do not price people out. I'm very excited for it, though. The World Cup is one of my favorite sporting events ever. I think March Madness has got to be my favorite sporting event of all time. For sure, tournament wise, at least. I mean, you can't beat it. I think it's just the best. I mean, that's another argument that we could have. What's the greatest sporting event of all time? The single greatest sporting tournament of all time. The World Cup is obviously up there as well. There's a ton of them. I mean, some people would say it's the Masters. Some people would say it's the Super Bowl. There's a lot of different ones out there, and it's a very interesting one. And I'm really excited for it. You get a month straight of soccer, a ton of games, and our boy here will be out there covering it. So I'm very excited to see your experiences there as well.
Yeah, I'll be in Mexico City as it stands, covering a few games down there and all the festivities in Mexico City for the Associated Press. So super excited for that experience, for sure. And for the record, on this topic, I do not think that fans will not show up to this World Cup. I think that's going to be overblown. I think that people are just going to pay the tickets. They're expensive and they'll go, "Meh, I have to pay a bunch of money," but they'll still come because it's the World Cup and you only get it once every 4 years, and so people are just going to do it, and especially these people from Brazil and Colombia and the Netherlands. I mean, have you seen the Netherlands? The orange bus. It's a thing that they do. They bring a bus across the country, and then all these people follow the bus. If you think that the people won't be marching through the streets of Dallas, I guess, or Arlington, behind the bus, you're crazy. They're gonna do it. They're gonna do it because that's just how they are. And it's an awesome experience. I went to the Euros, and it was really cool getting to march to the stadium with the Swiss fans. A truly once in a lifetime experience. So super excited for the World Cup. Jack, are you going to any games?
I was actually talking to my friend today. We were talking about going to Brazil, Haiti, and Philadelphia. I think that'd be a cool experience. They have a really good. I think if you've ever been to Xfinity Live, it's a really cool area. They got a lot of bars there, a lot of restaurants, a lot of cool things where you can kind of see the stadium. Fan Fest is there. Will be the Sunday after, and then the parking lot there's a great area to kind of go before the game. The thing is, the ticket prices. But it's the World Cup. I don't know if it'll be America again when I'm like kind of in the age where I can really go to these kind of things on solo without me having a family. So I think 99% sure I'm going to go to that game. Depending on if there's a matchup that I see within drivable distance, that's like, oh, I want to go to that. Then I probably will try to. 1% chance I go to this try to go to this final in New York. Just hopefully I hit the lottery or something, or my parlays go gold, and I have enough I have enough money to afford the game. But I definitely this is a once in a lifetime experience where it's on our home soil, and I definitely want to be a part of it. I mean, I've been watching it for so long, and been watching soccer for so long, and I mean, seeing these different league games, seeing the passion behind the league games, where it's just individual teams in a domestic league, just in their own country, now seeing it on the global stage in person would be pretty unbelievable. So the answer to that is yes. I definitely would like to go to at least one of these games.
Yeah, yeah, I completely get that. My family's going down to Mexico to go watch one of the games for the same reason. You got to go, right? Why
Yeah,
not? I
just
mean,
got
when it's here, you got to go. So we'll have a whole show at some point once we get a little closer to the tournament, previewing the World Cup and kind of talking about maybe some of our best bets and predictions and things of that nature. But we'll move on now. We'll give Jack a little opportunity to preview the UFC this weekend,
love it.
and then we'll dive into the playoff matchups and wrap it up from there.
Perfect. All right. UFC fight night this weekend. Usually this happens a lot in the UFC where there's a big pay-per-view card and the next card's pretty weak. Not a lot of huge fights to talk about. The main event is Arnold Allen versus Melchizedek Acosta. Very exciting fight. Melchizedek Acosta in his last fight was the first man to ever finish Danny Ige, who's a longtime veteran in the UFC. Arnold Allen is a great striker, pretty good grappling defense, has actually never shot a takedown in the UFC. Started off his career on a great win streak, has had three tough losses here, but has faced very good fighters in Max Holloway, John Silva, and Movsar Evloev. So three of the top fighters in the division. So you can't really blame him for those losses. This fight, he's a slight favorite in. He needs this one badly for his career. You go on to skate in a division, you kind of fall down the rankings, get out of the title picture. He was one fight away from the title when he fought Max Holloway, lost that fight by unanimous decision, and in a fight, the odds were very, very close. So a lot of people were expecting Arnold to be able to get over Max in that fight, but Max Holloway is just too good of a striker, too good of a volume striker, and too good of defense for him to do that. Melchizedek Alcasa has a plethora of weapons he can attack to. He can go to his grappling. He had a fantastic head kick KO against Morgan Charrier in one of his last fights. That really shocked me as well. I actually had money on Charrier, and that was a pretty shocking result. He's done a lot of great finishes. He's a very exciting fighter. I think this one is going to be a banger. A lot of people who just tune to the UFC for big name fights, I think that's personally one of the biggest mistakes people can make in the sport. I think matchups and styles really do make fights more than anything. And I think once people kind of dive in and see that, it just will explode so much more that that's why I'm really happy that UFC is on Paramount Plus now, because it opens up to so many more people to see it. A lot of more people will tune into Paramount Plus for a new number of reasons rather than go to ESPN Plus. I think it's just a better platform with a lot more to offer, and especially in the pay-per-view format, that it cost me $1,500 a year to be a UFC fan. I mean, I had to pay the $80 pay-per-view 14 times a year, plus the $90 for the fight pass. Now I get my $9 Paramount Plus membership and I can do it all. I can see all of it. It's fantastic. The co-main event, Dooho Choi versus Daniel Santos. Dooho Choi has had two fights since 2019, took a 4-year break, came back in 2024, two TKO victories. Now is fighting again. Daniel Santos, 14-2 overall in his career, has had 4 fights and 6 cancellations in the last 4 years, which 6 cancellations is pretty unheard of. I mean, pretty unlucky. Either somebody's pulled out a lot of times in the UFC, where not as often as it used to happen, but some guys from Russia or different areas will have trouble with their visas being able to get to America to fight. Hopefully, thankfully, that's not the case. Get to see the Korean Superboy Dooho Choi back in action. Hopefully he gets a win. He's a very likable guy. He doesn't fight a lot, and which is honestly something that just sucks about this sport, because in basketball and football and a lot of these different sports, you get to see them multiple times a year in a different season. In MMA, if a guy has a freak injury, or they get a really bad beating, or they just want to take time off, you may see them once a year, maybe even less than that. We've seen Dooho Choi 2 times in the last 6 years, so just once every 3 years we're getting him, which is pretty unfortunate. It's a tough thing in the UFC just because getting punched in the face for a living really is a tough career. And the people that do that, honestly, it's so impressive. And the more that I see it and the more that I train it, the more respect I gain for these people just because it is so hard to do what they do. And it really is the top 1% of the top 1% of the top 1% that can really make a stable living. There are 600 people on the UFC roster. They start on a 10-10 contract, which is 10,000 to show up, 10,000 to win. If you lose, you got to pay for your coaches, you got to pay. I mean, they'll do travel and stay. Usually, they do that pretty well, and obviously, the health insurance is something that I would hope, and they do. They have to cover that. But it really not is not a stable career until you're making it to the top, and especially if you're only fighting twice in one year, then you're not doing much at all. And so it really is a risky career. And these fight nights that a lot of people aren't tuning into, they're very interesting because all these guys who aren't on big contracts, they are really fighting for their livelihood. They're fighting for their lives. They're fighting for whatever their family has, everything. Because one big knockout, one big win, it goes viral on social media. Dana White season, Dana White's promoting it heavy. That can change somebody's career and somebody's life. There's a fighter named Josh Hoka. He's fighting on the White House card, and he has a crazy persona. I mean, he wears glasses with like a USA do rag and just starts saying absolutely crazy stuff and just goes absolutely wild at these press conferences, calling out whoever, anybody, and everybody. But he's been winning. He's 3-0 in the UFC, and his last fight versus Curtis Blades, I recapped it a few shows ago, was one of the best fights I've ever seen in my life. And you can be loved or loved or hated, but if people watch you, it's all that matters. And he gets people to tune in. And so these people, if so, I mean, if Arnold Allen or Melchizedek Acosta or Santos or the Korean Superboy, if one of them has a great finish this weekend, it will really propel their careers. I'm excited for this, and we'll jump into another episode. Not a ton more to go on that card. We'll definitely jump into it more. The summer's coming up, June 14th, one of the biggest cards of all time at the White House, Donald Trump's birthday, UFC 250 Flag Day. That'll be a fantastic one. The first ever UFC fight on a Sunday. Donald Trump puts it on his birthday, first ever Sunday fight in Washington, D.C., my hometown. Gonna get to go see that. Only 4,300 people actually at the venue. It's gonna be all military and government and veterans and different things like that, which is actually a pretty good gesture. I think it's a very nice thing to do to kind of honor your soldiers and give a salute to them by giving them premium seats to an event of this magnitude. But they'll have 85,000 people in a setup fan area where they can watch it on big screens, and we'll have a meet and greet on Saturday, which will be very cool to go to. Shout out to my boy Colin for I completely forgot to apply for tickets. He did that for me, got my ticket, so getting ready to go to that. Very excited. It's a good time to be a UFC fan. The summer's always electric. It's a little down time for the amount of stars that they're on the sport, but overall, not the best card this weekend. Looking forward to recapping it next week, and that's all I got. Ready to move on.
All right, awesome, man. It's fun stuff happening in the UFC. Excited for that White House card. It's gonna be really cool. And obviously this weekend we got a couple of nice fights as well. So let's jump into a little bit of basketball. We got the playoffs going on tonight. Two elimination games. The Cavs undefeated at home in these playoffs, facing your Pistons. The Cavs up 3-2 after knocking off Detroit in a shocker in Game Five.
Unbelievable choke job from the Detroit Pistons, up seven with 2 minutes to play. Don't score at the end of regulation. Questionable foul call. Who knows? Amen Thompson, great defense, or Sar Thompson, great defensive play. Knocks it at Jared Allen's hands. Then Jared Allen's going for a loose ball. Thompson goes down. People think there might be a foul. 103, 103. We go to overtime. Regardless, have to win that game at home. Cleveland again, undefeated in the playoffs. Jalen Duren has been the biggest playoff disappointment I've ever seen in my life. I have watched a lot of basketball. His 9.4 points per game decrease is the most by a single player since 1962 when Wilt Chamberlain decreased by 15 points. The difference, Duran went from just under 20 to 10. Wilt Chamberlain went from 50 to 35. So if you're still doing 35 a game, we can get by with that. Jalen Duran, his minutes have decreased in all 5 games. He played 25 out of the 53 possible minutes. He has been absolutely terrible. Paul Reed and Isaiah Stewart are eating up his minutes, and was a huge catalyst for us winning 60 games this year. I mean, he was fantastic. 20 and 10, was an all-star, great rim protector, could be an all defensive team. I mean, he has earned that spot, but he in a contract year has played himself at a potentially $100+ million by the way he has played himself in this playoffs. I mean, he's been absolutely terrible, has shown no offensive upside at all. His defense has been subpar for what we saw in the regular season. And in games, and it happens a lot in the league, Cade Cunningham had nearly 40 points in that game. And it happens where people and coaches will be like, okay, if nobody else is playing good, they will let the superstar go crazy. We saw it with Luca a lot where they'll let, okay, Luca, you can score your 45, 50 points. But if nobody else is doing anything, it's going to be very hard to win. And it happened against Orlando in game one where Cade had 40 points, but we lost because nobody else was doing anything. Cade had 40 points last game. Nobody else was really doing anything, so we lost that game. It is going to come down to other people. When Cade is around his averages of 25 points and 8 assists, that's when the Pistons are the most dangerous because that means guys like Tobias Harris, Jalen Duren, Dennis Jenkins, Paul Reed, Isaiah Stewart, Asar Thompson, they're stepping up. Duncan Robinson was out for game five, was a huge loss. I haven't looked. Hopefully he's back tonight. Kevin Herter's been gone for a while, but he hasn't been great. Obviously, he's a good shooter. Duncan Robinson has really impressed me with his game. He used to be just a spot up shooter. That's all he could do. Now he's able to play off the dribble, very gritty on defense. He was a defensive liability for a long time. Not the case at all anymore. This game tonight, we're slight 3.5 point underdogs. This is a really defining moment for Detroit basketball, and especially for Jalen Duren and Cade Cunningham, because the two of them have been the motorcade right there. That's our guy from the 313. He has been huge for pushing us to this incredible season as a number one seed, and we're on the brink of elimination in the second round. And quite frankly, in Eastern Conference, that this is going to be one of the weaker Eastern conferences that we're going to get as a playoff team with this squad. I mean, you get a healthier Boston team, you get other teams that are coming back better. And this really is a year that Detroit was expected to make at least the conference finals, maybe the NBA finals. So tonight, I think we should win. I'm very nervous for it. I think if Cade Cunningham scores 40, there's a much higher chance we lose than if we win. If Jalen Duren plays good today and has a double digit rebound and if he has a double double with closer to 20 points, I think we should nearly 100% win the basketball game because Evan Mobley and Jared Allen have really taken him out of his game like Wendell Carter did, which shocked me. So Pistons win tonight. I think we should win game 7 as well, advance those Eastern Conference finals. But I mean, New York looks good as well. What's your take on tonight? Because this is a very, very, very big game that starts here in just over 90 minutes. So getting excited for it.
Well, a couple of things. Duran, of course, with that decrease has really struggled. I think that speaks a lot to the modernity of the NBA regular season and the way that it's played. Jalen Duran excels in open floor play when he's getting lobs and he's, able to go one on one against people. There's no double coming, there's no help. He's allowed to turn and just use his strength and bully people underneath the basket. The second you see people start playing the kind of defense that comes in the NBA playoffs, Jalen Duran has shown that he is not that kind of player. He is not a back you down and score guy. He's just a lob threat. He's a lob and rebound and physical threat. He is not a supermax guy. He should not get the amazing contract that some thought he should get, and I think that's kind of clear now. Unfortunately for him, and unfortunately for the Pistons as well, who thought maybe they had a big that could take them a really long way this year, and it just doesn't look like they have that kind of guy. Now he's great defensively, and he's very useful. So don't get me wrong, he's a good player, and there's no reason that everybody should be completely out on him. He's still good. He's just not what they thought he was. And when you get to the playoffs, you learn a lot about certain guys. You learn what kind of players they are, and you've learned a lot about Jalen Duren through these playoffs. And it's against the Magic and the Cavs. He hasn't even played against the Knicks or the Thunder. So you kind of worry about what can he do if they are to make it on and play against Karl Anthony Towns. I mean, he's going to struggle. He's going to struggle big time against those guys for the Knicks. And then if they made it past them, he would really struggle against the bigs for the Thunder. So definitely something to keep an eye on there. I can't believe how much you praised Duncan Robinson. That's a Michigan guy that you're loving on. It is super surprising, but I get it. He's a great player. I love Duncan Robinson. I think he's a really nice player. The other thing, how did Rick Pitino get Denise Jenkins and Walter Clayton Jr. in one backcourt at Iona? How did that happen? They were so good. If they didn't play UConn that year, they may have gone to the Sweet 16. And every time I watch either the Pistons or the Jazz or any of those Florida highlights, that's always what I'm thinking. I'm like, how did he have those two guys in the same backcourt at Iona?
It goes back to it again. I mean, we've been talking about it. He really is one of the greatest of all time. In the recruiting and the winning, taking these programs, I mean, that is incredible. And it has aged so well for him. His time at Iona has really aged so well for him. And it was such a good comeback choice for him to be out of the game for a little while, come back, and not only succeed with that program, but breed and have recruit these players that have now blossomed into great players. Denise Jenkins has been one of my favorite guys to watch in Detroit because he just plays the game so hard, and especially, and you were hitting on the head there with the way the NBA regular season is played, a lot of lackadaisical play, and some people refer to it as just a bunch of rich guys playing pickup for a bunch of money, and it's just like it's 150 to 150, and people are throwing up shots, and people are scoring 70 every other night. People have really locked in these playoffs. And you're right. That is an insane backcourt for Patino to have at Iona. Absolutely incredible. Shocking, to be completely honest with you. I mean, how many mid-major schools, and especially like with two guys of that caliber, that I believe in both of them to be solid. I think Dennis Jenkins is more going to be of a role player in his career. I think he'll blossom to a pretty solid role player and can play on a championship team. I think he's definitely a guy that can fit that role. I think Walter Clayton Jr. is going to be very interesting to see where he is because he really has played as a star for a lot of his collegiate career and as a scorer who has the ball in his hands a lot and a pretty ball dominant guy who really is the green light to shoot whatever he wants. So I'm really excited to see how both their careers develop because I mean, Walter Clayton was one of my favorite college guys ever. That Florida run was absolutely electric. Some of the shots that he were hitting was absolutely absurd, and some of the shots that he were taking and making. I mean, the confidence that he had in his own game, and that Golden had in him, pretty incredible. Pretty incredible.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. Those two guys, man, great players, and Rick Pitino just showing again that he's still the man all these years later. But as for that game, I don't know who to pick. I honestly lean Cleveland. I lean the line. I think maybe Cleveland by 2 or 3. And it's not because I don't think Detroit's good. It's just it feels like they missed their chance. It feels like they needed to win it in 7. They were going to lose this game and then win it in 7. So a great spot tonight for Cleveland. Now on the other one, we get the Spurs and the Wolves. I think the Spurs close it out tonight. I think that Wemby has kind of emerged a little bit and shown that he's been the guy. I expect him and Stephon Castle to have big nights again, and I expect the Spurs to close it out because we all want that Western Conference Finals to be Spurs Thunder. I think. I mean, the Wolves are fun with Ant and stuff, but I don't think we really think that they can beat the Thunder. Now the Spurs, maybe they can. I mean, I would expect them to get at least a game off the Thunder. I mean, I know we set our line. What we set our line at 3.5 games.
Three and a half
Uh,
games.
yeah, under 3.5 games. So, are they going to lose more than that? I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
But if anybody's going to get them to lose at least 1 or 2, it's going to be the Spurs.
Absolutely agree. I mean, if it's the Wolves, I think that's four. If it's the Wolves, if the Wolves somehow get out of this series, I think we could see the first ever 16-0 playoffs. I legitimately do if they get out. I do agree with you. I think the Spurs close them out tonight. I think Wembanyama has really shown that he will be the face of this new generation of NBA basketball. I mean, the way he's able to score the ball in just literally, I mean, 3 level scoring. He could be a 7 level scorer for all I care. He can shoot from wherever, whenever. He's 7'4" and can shoot the ball from 40 feet. He can rebound with the best of them. He's one of the best shot blockers I've ever seen in my life. And I mean, Stephon Castle, Dylan Harper, De'Aaron Fox, one of my favorite players to watch. That team, Devin Vassell, I mean, that team is absolutely loaded. And I think we will get that de facto finals matchup, in my opinion, which is the San Antonio Spurs versus the Oklahoma City Thunder in the Western Conference Finals. Because I just don't think anybody in the Eastern Conference really has the firepower to keep up with these teams. The Knicks starting lineup is great, don't get me wrong, but the depth on both the Spurs and the Thunder is it's a different level, 100%. The Spurs 3-1 versus Oklahoma City when Oklahoma City was off that 24-0 start. People were saying, who's going to beat these guys? They might be able to pass the Warriors. Spurs beat them back-to-back games. Beat them 75% of the regular season, but it's a different game in the playoffs. And we still haven't seen him with J-Dub yet. So, I mean, this Thunder team is just so ridiculous. Every stat I bring up and every little thing, it all goes back to this Thunder team is just different. They're the best team since the Warriors. And I think this game tonight, last game, I thought it was going to be a blowout. This game, I think, will be close. I just think the Ant Man's not going to go out sad like that. I don't think he's going to get blown out on his home court. But, momentum could turn. They have one bad third quarter, and, they're down 25 all of a sudden the game's over because the Spurs are, I believe, that much better than them. I think this series, I mean, Dante DiVincenzo definitely was a sizable loss for Minnesota. Even with him, I think the Spurs would win. If Wemby doesn't get ejected, I think the series is already over. We're already previewing the Spurs Thunder series, so that was a pretty interesting one. It was nice to see that we get a game 6. I love more basketball. Was a little confused that they didn't have a game yesterday. The first day we haven't had a game in a while. I don't really love the double stacking here. I think a Thursday night and a Friday game would make more sense. You do two primetime games. A lot of people can't really, especially in the East Coast, don't want to stay up for a 9:30 basketball game. I
I
mean,
do
that
not.
game won't end until 12:30, and I mean, even if people don't have work tomorrow, it's still a late night, and that's 6 hours straight of NBA playoff basketball, which I will be there for. I love it. I'm also 21 years old, and I'm gonna wake up pretty late tomorrow. Definitely, people who want to get up early in the morning can't do that. So I think they should have gone 7:30, 7:30. Doesn't make a ton of sense to me. But it's the NBA. They make a lot of money for a reason. I'm not the head of it for a reason. So pretty interesting there. I think the Spurs close them out. We'll look forward to the Western Conference Finals and we'll preview that more. But man, these NBA playoffs are heating up, and I'm very, very excited for that potential matchup.
They've been a ton of fun. Excited to see that matchup. Yeah, tonight. Both these games are going to be really entertaining. There's a lot at stake, of course, in both of them. I'm obviously more interested in the Eastern Conference just because I think that the Spurs are way better than the Wolves. Even if the Wolves were to win tonight and even it up, I think Game 7 in San Antonio would certainly go to the Spurs. Excited for the next round as well. These conference finals, I think there's a lot of parity, especially in the East. And I'm very curious to see who's going to get the pleasure of getting blown out in the finals by the Thunder. So that's going to do it for our podcast here. Really enjoyed this one, Jack. Got a lot of stuff in, got to talk about a lot of different subjects, a little bit more life talk too. So we'll try to throw that into our podcast. Please leave comments on whatever platform you're watching. We'd love to know what you guys think about literally anything. If you have any comments, any thoughts at all, whether it be about our logo, the name of the podcast, Jack's hair, whatever you want to talk about, we appreciate any kind of feedback and are always looking to grow. Please recommend us to your friends and. If you're on mic'd up, hit the little star so that you get the notification when we go live so that you guys can ask some questions. We'd love to get some more questions. We haven't had any in a while. So any questions are greatly appreciated. But yes, so make sure to subscribe to the YouTube, to follow the Instagram, and to follow the TikTok. It's the Jack and Jack Pod on all of those platforms. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you next time.
Thank you. Have a good one, guys.